If you're anything like me and you love modeling in Blender, but you hate nodes and dealing with all these maths and the nonsense, then you're gonna love this video, because I'm gonna show you a one-click solution that we developed to, adding maths and details to your hard surface sci-fi models. So let me just create some kind of a very simple, barrel-like design here, and I'm going to, pop some bevel here on this one, weighted normals, bevel here, and weighted normals. And we're going to add some plane, right? So have some background and pop it here in the bottom, and we're good to go. And we're gonna go to cycles. Now in cycles, so let's change to cycles and GPU compute, and we're gonna switch this to 128 in viewport. And we're gonna enable our add-on Materialworks. And I'm gonna show you how much fun it is and how easy it is to detail and light your scene. First of all, none of these go into, shader editor nonsense. You just click here and your HDRI is done. You can click here and choose out of 6 HDRIs that come with the add-on, but you can get your own and put them in here. I'm gonna go with Gun Gradient B. It's one of my favorites. These are made by Alex Senchel in Keyshot. It's fantastic. You can rotate it here, change strength. You don't have to go to the node editor at all. Now in terms of mattes, you have a library here of 50 professional mattes created by a pro artist in Substance Designer. So they're really the real deal. And they were handcrafted, every single one of them. Plus you have extensive wear mattes. So you can add damage, dents, edge wear, whatever you want here. You got a whole library of stuff. It's 25 of different effects in here. You can stack them on top of a matte, yeah. And then you can adjust the strength, normal, map, scale, rotation, color. Some of the variants you can stack them as well, so it's a rabbit hole. But anyway, let's keep it simple. So I'm going to pop here some matte, maybe some metal. Let's maybe go with maybe half matte steel, or maybe let's go with something darker like graphite steel. And this one could be, half matte steel, right? And then we're gonna add some decals to it. So let's just change this top here a little bit. Let's just insert it and, drop it down. And I'm going to move a cursor to this face, and then I'm going to apply a decal. You can do it directly from our add-on. You have access to 860 decals and 20 trim sheets, which split into sub trims, so probably like well over 1000 combinations. And let's just add something like this, maybe like a top of a barrel, and then Shift S and let's move it to cursor, make it a little bit bigger. By the way, we can define the size of these decals here. You can change it if you want to. So let me just pop it in. So we're gonna shrink wrap it to this mesh, so when you move it, the decal is gonna be parented. You can also change the color of this decal, so you can adjust the matte on it, so you could change it to this gun gradient or something else. And then we're going to pop some trim sheet here on the top, so we could just maybe run another loop here, something like this, and we can go to trim sheets, which are accessible in edit mode, and each of these is split into separate different trims that you can apply, different effects you can apply to your model, like for example something like this, right? It's gonna look pretty cool. You can scroll through them and choose something else, and you're gonna have access to a ton of different options here, and that you may want to go with, like for example something like this. And then let's say we wanted some text on top of it, like something like this here, make it a bit larger and pop it in here and shrink wrap it, Bob's your uncle. And you also have emissive stuff, like emissive decals, like something like this, right? So you could pop it in here and have some fun, and then adjust the matte on it, obviously to match it, right? You can also change the emission if you want to whatever color you want, and you can also turn it off if you want it as well. This is a fantastic way of detailing very, very quickly, especially when you combine it with with hard ops, and you start doing stuff like, for example, radial arrays around the shape. So for instance, if I pop this decal here in the bottom, I wanted to create some kind of a detail here, right? What I could do is array this around the shape, right, using mesh tools and radial array, and you got this very easy detail instantly added to your mesh. You don't have to model it. And you know, these decals are extremely well, you know, well designed, they're very high quality. You can barely tell it's a decal. It looks like, you know, like geometry. The same with the trim sheets. It's really hard to tell it's not geo, especially when you're gonna increase the resolution. So at the, you know, at the subdivision level to your mesh, it's gonna get even more well defined, right? Because we're working on a very low density here of the mesh. You see there's a faceting from these faces, but I can just very easily go to, you know, I can add some subdivision, right? And it's gonna tighten up, and you see it's very clean. So, you know, you get a lot of options with this. And then especially when you combine it with the mats, which are really cool, you can create some, you know, amazing combinations and, you know, create some really cool stuff very, very quickly. I use these mats and obviously the decals I've been, you know, been using them for ages, for over 7 years now. And we packed them all into this Materialworks add-on and added the functionality, so now you can add them and the trim sheets as well. So it's a really robust package for detailing and texturing your models literally with one click. And then, you know, then you just can have some more fun with it. Like, for example, what I do quite often is I put all these into one collection, and then I'm gonna instance this. So let's just delete this for them. It's gonna be easier. I'm gonna select all these and these. So this is one package, right? And the ring. And I put all these into one collection, right? Collection 1. Then what I can do, I can go here and I can instance that collection, which is going to allow me to create an instance of this barrel, right? And you know, whatever I do on this barrel, it's going to be reflected on this instance, right? It's going to be reflected. But the whole point of doing it this way is that you can very easily you know, create a environment for your renders, right? Without needing to duplicate your geometry. So I often do it, for example, for double renders of like mechs or stuff. I just create an instance with all the decals and the mats, and I'm good to go. And when you finish, don't forget to go here to this menu. Where is it? This one. And go to unused data and purge. You could also do this through machine tools, and you're gonna always be deleting some unnecessary data that you nuked from the scene. Like, for example, we removed this shiny plastic from here, right? So whenever you are changing a matte in your scene, there's gonna be some, you know, some leftovers in Blender which you wanna remove, because they're gonna be taking memory, right? And then you wanna go here and you wanna pack all the resources and save this file. So you can open this file on any other PC, because all the mattes gonna be linked, all the decals gonna be linked, etc. Right? That's how I like to work. It's a very fast way of working, and we developed this add-on specifically for our needs. So for, you know, for creating really cool renders and working really fast and having some high-end mattes, because the BSDF mattes are garbage. They kind of like, you know, like a very basic solution, but they're not really providing any amazing textures, and kind of, you know, they don't really look that good in renders. If you zoom in on these mattes, they, you know, you can tell that they're very, very well designed, and you have mattes with some kind of really awesome patterns. So if I go back here and let's say we're gonna go to maybe something like, you know, like this this kind of like a metal, which is really cool, right? And the awesome stuff that you can do is with this matte is you can add emission to it, because there's a emissive map for these gaps in between these hexagons. Other mattes, for example, like this one, you can drop the alpha and you can actually make it transparent. So you're gonna be seeing this kind of like a net, right? So it could be used for floors or whatever, you know, purposes you need for your scene. So you have a lot of versatility. In addition, you can obviously load in your own mattes, and you can link them to this matte library, and they're gonna show up in here. And there's a video to show you how to do this, and you know, you can do it as well. So you can expand this library if you want to, in whichever direction. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested, go ahead and grab the add-on. It's on our store. It's called Materialworks, and if you're interested in any other content from us, like courses, you know, you're studying hard surface modeling in Blender or plasticity, then we have a lot of content for that. That's our specialty hard surface, Sci-Fi. All the links are in the video description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.